So again, for my level, the intent of my level is for players between the margins of beginning or beginners and intermediate, but probably still more towards the beginner side. So it's basically for players who've already had a firm grasp of the basic mechanics of the game, and this level would serve as the game trying to or starting to challenge the player a bit. So to begin, this beginning area, I took into consideration the feedback about how the jump over here, it's a bit of a leap of faith because um, obviously you can't jump onto the cloud block over there, and if the player didn't know to actually jump into this area over here with the facade blocks, the player could fall down and potentially bump into the lava blocks to bounce them back. But in terms of the feedback, I changed the colors so that all the normal blocks are purple and the facade blocks are yellow. So in this case, the players, hopefully they can jump onto here into the facade blocks and then push this boat down because they will need the boat, and then they can jump into here and then get the strawberry. Another feedback that I took into consideration is if the player were to say die here or in this area, then they would spawn back to here, but then they wouldn't be able to jump into the boat again. So I made a set of facade blocks here so that the player can grab the boat or call the boat back and then jump back in and then continue on. The spikes are a bit pointless, I do agree, but I just left them in case the players do decide to get jumpy and just for some reason wanted to jump around. So anyway, here, once the player gets a checkpoint, this area is sort of the timing challenge of the level where the player, so just like that, if the player isn't careful, then they can get hit by the lasers from sliding on the ice. Oh boy, it's gonna be a long day. So if you notice, I also made the spikes yellow, just like the facade blocks. This might be a little too obvious, but I just decided that for all the obstacles or sort of special blocks, I wanted to indicate those in yellow, and for all the normal blocks, I wanted to just indicate those as purple. And then here, you jump onto the lava block to get up here. That's another checkpoint. And then there's a ladder to the right over here, and if the player catches the facade blocks to the left, and then they can run inside, collect the strawberry with the teleporter block, and then continue on. So this next part here, I wanted to basically put the player under pressure a little bit so that when they jump onto the mine blocks, they can collect that. But as you can see, I made it so that the player can still see the mine blocks respawn, so that they know when to jump back down and then jump here, using the lava blocks again to get through the 3 spikes over here. If they were to say try to jump onto the spikes immediately or directly, then that wouldn't work. So they would have to use the lava block, get on a checkpoint. Here I'm just using sort of empty spaces that I can to for strawberries. And then this next part here, the cat actually followed me, but I intended it so that when the player fights these cats, there's these environmental hazards if they're not careful. And then if the player isn't paying attention, I just added lava blocks here to push them back. And then this next part up here, I have mine blocks chained together, which is to serve the purpose of another timing challenge in the level. So the player would have to jump onto here, jump here, and then if they're quick enough, then they don't even have to wait for the mine blocks to respawn again. They can just do it in sort of the first go or first attempt, and then get the checkpoint here. It's just me sort of utilizing some of the earlier obstacles that the player can or has already seen before. So the jump pad or launch pad into mine blocks to clear the way, and then they can just get a strawberry here. And then this next part, you can see ice blocks laid out, and underneath is water hazard. So obviously the players can't go down there. And then there's actually supposed to be another cat NPC right here where I'm standing, but for some reason it's not spawning. But I added these cat NPCs to basically just interfere with the player, make it a little harder for them as they're navigating through, the ice and trying to avoid the water. And then this last part is basically there's mine blocks down there, and you probably can't see it now, but just try to get back there. There are spike blocks right under, so if the player isn't quick enough, the player can die from the spike blocks or from the lasers that are shooting out. So this is just basically the last sort of obstacle that the player has to get through before reaching the exit, and it's just to see if the player can be quick enough and basically time them. So go, and then there's nothing here, it's just the exit. So there we go. That's my level.